All right, we're gonna make a paper mache mask, which is a lot of fun, and we can do a lot of things with the mask. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to actually make a mask. Now I have these plastic face molds, okay? So what you're gonna do is, because they're plastic, first thing you need to do is take a wet erase marker, vis-a-vis pen, and you're just gonna write your name right on the inside of the forehead there. And your class code. Like that. That way your name is on it, and we can put your name on the actual paper mache mask later after it's dry. And that's not gonna come off because it's all up in there. Then put your mask on your tray, and we're using a tray so that we don't make a big mess. However, if we didn't have trays, we could put it on our table too and just wipe it up with dry paper towel. Now you need to get your paper for your paper mache. We're gonna use some newspaper. When you tear your newspaper, you want to tear it into thin strips because it's a lot easier to use thin strips than thick strips. You'd think it would be easier to use thick strips because it would go faster, but you get better detail with thin strips. So you tear it into thin strips about the thickness of your finger, like that. Now, if you try to tear it and it comes off in little pieces instead of long strips, then you are not tearing it in the correct direction. Turn your paper 90 degrees and tear it that way. There's usually a little bit of like a cut edge, like you can see the perforation edge there on the paper. That's how you know which way to tear. Also, you don't want your strips to be too long. So if they're really long like this, what you'll want to do is just tear off the fold, and then that will cut them in half just by tearing at the fold. Then lay your strips nice and neat next to your mask. You don't want it to be in a big old pile, because if it's in a big old pile, it's harder to take each strip. You're fighting with your paper mache sticky fingers and the paper. Okay, now you have your paper mache paste in this container here, and your strips of paper, and we're going to start to make our paper mache mask. Now, we're going to do this in 3 layers. The first time we're going to go vertically down the face. The second time we're going to go horizontally across the face, and then again vertically down the face. That way we know that we've done 3 layers. Now to paper mache, you dip the paper all the way in the paste, and then you use your fingers like squeegee scissors, scissor finger all that extra, look at all that extra goo. Take all that extra goo, scrape it off, and then lay your paper down. Then you really want to push that paper down onto your mold so that you get that same shape. Dip your paper, squeegee finger off the extra, and lay it overlapping the last one and push it down. Overlapping, push it down onto the mold. Now if this hand, if your fingers get too paper mache paste, there's too much goo, just scrape it off on the side of the bowl there and keep going. See how I've overlapped each time? When you get to these facial features, it's really important to push down that paper. If you have a lot of bumps to your paper, it's going to be hard to paint that later. So you need to make sure that your paper is very smooth, is really smoothed down and pushed onto those features, because you also want this to look like a face when you're done, otherwise it's not going to make a very good mask. Now getting over that nose can be a little bit tricky, but you are stronger and smarter than the piece of paper. So I'm sure that you can figure out putting this piece of paper over the nose. You want to make sure that you don't have any holes. Okay, after the mask is completely covered, take some time to smooth it out and push it onto the mold. Then it's time to go horizontally across the face. Right here I want to show you this. See how this is not smoothed down? You're going to have a lot of trouble painting that unless you get that smoothed down really well. Now this over here, what you can do is you can just take that and fold it back up onto the mask. You don't want it to overlap like that. Otherwise you're just going to have to cut it off later. Now again, you're going to have one more layer, a total of 3 layers, and this time you're going to go all the way down vertically again, just like the first layer. Looks like I need a little bit more paper mache. Give myself a little bit more paper mache here. Then when you're all done, smooth it out. Get it so that you can feel the facial features, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, so that there are no bumps in your paper. That way it will be much easier to paint next time. Then you're ready to clean up. Take your extra paper mache, leave your tray so that we can save your extra paper mache paste. Don't wash these out. For your hands, just wash your hands with warm water and soap, and that will take care of that. And just throw your extra strips in the recycling.